Hello and welcome to the Confusion Wrestling Podcast, the last bastion of independent wrestling. I'm Rob Kammer, hanging out with Affogato in the studio, talking professional wrestling. No, not with the cat. She really doesn't care that much. But prior to Affogato showing up in the studio, I got to sit down with one Haley Danielle, the Bombshell. She's tearing it up on the Texas independent scene, winning titles wherever she may go. We sit down and talk for quite some time just about the Texas independent scene, her journey through professional wrestling, what it feels like to win championships, and if that feeling changes with each championship she wins. But, this is not my story to tell, so I think it's best that, she tell it. So how about we go ahead and take ourselves a pause for the cause, go get yourself a coffee, go get yourself an energy drink, get yourself a gosh darn energy maker. Go get yourself a coffee machine too. That'd be greatly appreciated. You use those affiliate links that we're going to find out about here in a moment, and I'll be back with the Bombshell, Haley Danielle. Hey folks, the Confusion Wrestling Podcast has become a veritable hub of shopping and treats and all that sort of good stuff. Whether you need a sugar-free alternative to energy drinks in the form of Raise Energy, or maybe even, top of the line ice makers, coffee machines, and other household appliances, all through my links section. All you got to do is wander down to the descriptor of this week's episode, check out the various links, click on them, and go shopping like you normally would. Heck, it's no difference. You just came in and just said Rob sent you. And that way, you can get the things you need, maybe even at a discount, and the podcast gets a kickback as well. So be sure to check out those links. Thank you very much for listening. Back to the show. And we are back, ladies and gentlemen, the Confusion Wrestling Podcast. As I said at the top of the show, very special guest sitting in the studio with me today. She's won titles at Wrestle Shop, All Fury Pro, Amazing Pro, and probably others that I've just not bothered to write down. But she is the Bombshell, Haley Danielle. Haley, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing well myself. Most podcasts, I do like to start out everything with the always original, never before asked question. What made you a fan of professional wrestling?
My goodness. I can probably say I've been a wrestling fan since I was in my mama's womb. I just always watched wrestling as a kid. And I can't really remember like my first memory of it because it's just been like that, where it's just, I've always watched it. It was always like our family pastime, really.
And what did your family watch? Did they have a specific company, or were they just all over the place, whatever you could find?
I know like for the most part when my dad would watch it before I was even thought of, my dad would watch, WWF or WCW and things like that. Even when my dad was a kid, he would watch Houston wrestling, when Paul Bosch had his promotions and things like that.
So that's a name that doesn't pop up on the podcast that much with Paul Bosch and Houston. Usually, if
Mhm.
people are going to go Texas route, which I know you're Texas native. It's more along the lines of world class, but they had Paul Bosch was a big thing down there as well as plus Joe Blanchard, Tully's dad. I just think of him as Tully's dad,
Mhm.
and that's just kind of an interesting little like tidbit bringing up Paul Bosch in Houston, since no one else really does on this podcast. But in your case, so what drew you to the action of wrestling? Like, was there any particular wrestlers that made you like just stop and stare, or that you kind of attached yourself to?
Well, just to say, first and foremost, I am a huge Bret Hart fan. But as a kid, Shawn Michaels was one of my favorites.
I mean, he was
um,
flashier.
had- well, yeah, I could say that, but I didn't. I was very naive of knowing all the stuff that happened beforehand. I watched Shawn Michaels when he was, in wrestling in 2002 because I was born in 1998, so I didn't know all the other extra things that happened until I had to do my own discoveries. So, and Booker T was another one. RVD, Batista was one. Triple H, all the greats.
So you kind of come back into like if they're I don't want to say golden era is probably not the term because even then it's not the second one really because it's after the but kind of getting into it back when they started getting hot again in like in the early midish 2000s when they like the original brand split and they kind of figured out what they were doing after the invasion. Um, but I
Hmm.
mean that's a solid list to go by. But like I also like with the Shawn Michaels thing, I can't fault you being a Texas girl, and Shawn Michaels and Booker T are both okay. Texas is a big state, and that's like me saying like Chicago when you're around these parts, but like they're both I'll call it local adjacent. My Texas geography isn't great, but if you're bringing up Houston, I know Booker T specifically is from the Houston area, but I don't know. I'll just
Yes.
close my mouth on that one.
No, you're good. Speaking about Booker T, that's actually where I first started training was at Reality of Wrestling. So yeah.
So, what made you decide to take the leap from fan to wrestler? What made you cross the guardrail?
So I've always known when I was 10 years old that I wanted to be a professional wrestler. I just didn't know the steps quite yet, until probably whenever I was 12, probably. Was when I was watching Reality of Wrestling when it was on TV, and it would be on TV at like 2 in the morning, and I would have to stay up that long, and my parents weren't very happy about that, but I did it anyway. And they would show their commercials about their wrestling school, and I've always known that they had this school. And then once I what was it? It was in 2020 was whenever I reached out to the school and seeing if I can go ahead and get started, um, and see what I had to do as far as like tuition is concerned, or what I had to do to prepare to be in the facility. So then the next day after that, it was July 22nd of 2020 was when I walked in and got everything set for. And then the next day I started my conditioning.
And that was kind of in the midst of the pandemics. So, like, how was training under that condition compared to like I mean, if you've trained elsewhere, like how did that compare?
So whenever I first was thinking about going into reality of wrestling, um, it was in like February of 2020. Me and my little sister, we went to a ladies' night out show, and my sister went and met Charmel first before I even got to even glance at her. And my sister went and grabbed me to go talk to Charmel, and she was telling me about the school, and how to get involved in it and everything. And as soon as I was about to go and get everything set up is whenever they had shut down, because COVID was just so bad at the time. So I waited a few months after where everything started to, get picked back up some, but it wasn't all the way to where everything was, just no restrictions, right? So I had to wait quite a bit for me to be able to be like, okay, this is the moment, this is the time, and there's no turning back on that.
That's just one of like the little things that kind of like have fascinated me as I've talked to wrestlers over the last handful of years is the ones that have kind of come up during like the pandemic and how the training kind of like settled for them and then like how each school kind of adapted to it. Because I know some of them just cut their class sizes, to the barest minimums, and then others like I know of one basically just worked one-on-one sessions. Like they basically just split up their trainers with students and then just kind of like rotated, and that was like fascinating too. So it's one of like the little things of like
Mhm.
the world kind of stopped for a handful of months there in the midst of everything, and it's just wrestling is inherently a crowd, whether it's training or performing, and just hearing how how everyone had to the adaptation stories or how you kind of like went through it is always just kind of like fascinating to me, just because it's its own little thing that we just kind of forget about, but yet it changed the world, obviously, and now there's like, I don't know, time means nothing to me after COVID, I guess. But what was it like training at Reality of Wrestling or and under Booker T? I think you're my first person on here that's trained under Booker.
Training at Reality of Wrestling was very interesting and fascinating, um, because the trainers really care. The trainers were, obviously they have to give us, no pun intended, the reality check of how professional wrestling is, and they had to let us know how difficult it can be, but we're able to do these difficult things because if we weren't able to, we wouldn't be there. When the training sessions would happen, we are all in a group where you feel safe, where you feel comfortable, and we're all here for the same reason. So we're all cheering for each other to, get through these training sessions. And at the end of it is like we come out better than what we did when we first came in.
But so you come out of Reality of Wrestling and you're kind of like ready to go face the world. What's the Texas independent scene like at that point?
My goodness, the Texas scene is like it's absolutely huge. It's there's you have no idea until you're in Texas. Just Houston alone, you never know how many promotions that you'll actually get to see in just Houston. I've branched out into San Antonio. I've well, now I currently live in San Antonio. But you have, like, in your Dallas area, you have in Laredo, you have all these different spots in Texas, even El Paso and things like that. You have no idea that there's these promotions until you get there. And the Texas scene in general is just huge. Um, like, you'll never say that you can't find a wrestling promotion somewhere in Texas because it's just a big state, and it has even, you know, more promotions and wrestlers that you just got to discover, you know.
That's fair. It's one of those things again. Like I like to ask because every scene is slightly different. Because I even like look up at this chunk of like Illinois that isn't Chicago, and like we have like two promotions in our metro area, and after that, like you gotta travel a little bit. Like not horrible. Like there's a handful of promotions an hour away, and then another handful like 2 hours away, and in the general radius. But like I also know, I use David Lawless as an example of where he's located in Pittsburgh. Like he's wrestling every weekend and not traveling like more than an hour and a half from his house, and he's in his own bed every night every night wrestling, which like out here in the Midwest is that's almost like the dream because sometimes
Hmm.
it's the drive and I can't like. And
Hmm.
you pointed out that Texas is a big state, and if you're traveling outside of those metro areas, like there's just a lot of nothing at various spots.
You'd be surprised. Whenever I was living in Houston, I was getting a lot of like wrestling opportunities in San Antonio, and that's about like 3.5 hours just to get there. And then I would drive my 3.5 hours back. Or I had a wrestling show in Brownsville, and that was about 6 hours of a drive from Houston to Brownsville, and then driving back. It was it was it was pretty interesting drive back though, but the opportunities are practically endless when it comes to the Texas independent scene.
And that's something like that like I've been trying to keep tabs on a little bit too, because there's a handful like Texas was it Texas All was it Texas All Star, Texas All Pro, out of the way, like it's starting to make a little bit of
Texas All
waves.
Star.
Yeah, and Metroplex is also getting a rep about
Hmm.
them as well. So like I see a little bit of that, but like the rest of the state kind of like, oh, whenever like a new name pops up, like I might catch it, but it's just like there is a lot of stuff going on there, but it's also a big state, and has a lot of people crammed into like smaller areas as well. So like Dallas Fort Worth, I always hear is like always hopping with, well, just the arts in general, not just wrestling, but music and the arts. So like, why wouldn't wrestling catch on in there? Because wrestling is its own art. Wrestling and ska, the only legitimate forms of art, they say. It's like my favorite wrestling T-shirt I don't own is that. So wrestling and ska, the only legitimate forms of art. But that could be a whole other conversation. But you did talk about hitting the road, and so I'm always curious of like wrestlers wrestle wherever, and the venues vary wildly. What is the most bizarre venue that you've had the opportunity to work in?
Hmm. I gotta think about this one. um, I guess I wouldn't say it's like super like bizarre, but I think it was actually pretty funny. There was a wrestling show I did. It was at a bar, right? But it was outside, and they had like kids play sets out here and picnic tables and stuff like that. So in the mixed tag match that I was in, we were able to like go work in like the kids play set. And you just see my partner jumping off of the play set, and I'm just like, oh my goodness. Using me as like a little torpedo thing on a swing set. It was so funny. It was actually a really cool show for that one.
Now I'm just seeing like Rey Mysterio slides like off a slide. You know that thing where he like slides out off the ring apron, like to the ring floor on top. I'm just seeing that. Only now it's like a slide, just come off the slide, and that's just like some DDT stuff right there. If you're familiar with DDT in Japan, where they just do just random stuff for the sake of doing random stuff, and it's usually pretty entertaining. But that's great. And so these are the reasons like I ask these questions is because you never know what's really going to pop up on it. Like I always talk about the Avanti's Dome in Pekin, Illinois, which is just a giant inflatable dome that it's usually a soccer stadium, and so like
Oh wow.
kids would just like legit like just stop watching the wrestling and like find a stray soccer ball and like play soccer in the back of the field. Meanwhile, these grown men and women are just chucking each other around and what other shenanigans that happens at wrestling events. And I just like I think those just are hilarious. Or get the stories of like people wrestling at like house parties and whatever, or people's
Hmm.
backyards, and it's like a legit show just in someone's backyard. Um,
Right.
but kind of piggybacking off of the playground stuff, like indirectly. But you mentioned the mixed tag, and I like how much how much different is the intergender stuff compared to just kind of wrestling a regular match with another woman? Is there really a considerable difference in your mind, or is it something that you have to work around psychology wise?
I feel like with it just being like the thought of it is just like, okay, I'm wrestling a man, right? Compared if you were wrestling a woman. It's just always going to be something that's in the back of your mind where you're like, okay, this man is like, he could be like way bigger than me, way stronger than me, and things like that. But in all honesty, I feel like it could just, be just in the same way. How I just wrestle a man is not really going to be any different if I wrestle a woman. Um, because I've had plenty of intergender matches where I could say that the matches that I had with men, it's it's quite interesting to have, um as far as where you just know your uh physical abilities or what you can do compared to your opponent. You always have to think of those kind of things too. So wrestling a man is pretty cool to say that you can do it, and then in the same way, whenever you wrestle a woman, it's still the same thing for me. It's like, oh, I could do this. So either way.
That's fair. It's one of those things people kind of like clutch their pearls over for whatever reason, and
Hmm.
like I mean, I can stretch my imagination a bit and kind of see some of those things, but like I mean, we're in an athletic contest, and like, let's face it, there like most promotions don't deal with like weight classes. So even like someone like myself can still wrestle someone who's a foot taller and 100 pounds bigger than me. Like, I don't know, size difference
Right.
just, I mean, is going to occur regardless of what gender. And let's also face it, like some of the people making waves in AEW right now are in the women's division are like as big as I am. Like, I'm not exactly a small dude, but like Megan Bain is a big girl, and I have no doubt she could chuck me around. like, but like,
Right. I and then also with me having a background in powerlifting, I could lift pretty heavy
mm.
objects and people. So it's not that much of a big deal for me.
So you were a power. How'd you get into powerlifting?
um it was just in my sophomore year in high school. I wasn't really, interested in like your PE classes or whatnot. And I just remember there was a coach that walked in and was like, "Who wants to lift weights?" I was like, I was like, "I do." And he just like pulled me in. He took me to the weight room, and the rest was history for sophomore year for me. I absolutely loved it. My classmates, they were very helpful as far as like knowing like what my like the posture I needed and things like that, as far as being able to lift as heavy as I did at the time. But now I'm a lot more stronger than I was when I was a sophomore in high school, so it really helps.
I was gonna say, I imagine like even for the if even even if they weren't if you're not like a serious weightlifter, like just having that experience doing the heavy lifting would help round you out as a wrestler, at least in terms of your mechanics. And I just think, oh, especially in your area, I mean that I think that would open up like open up more opportunities because lucha base is a thing. You know, luchadores need
For
bases
sure.
uh, to to bounce off of, or someone to kind of make sure they're getting caught when they're doing some of those crazy things that only luchadors seem to be able to do. Have you gotten to
Mhm.
work? Just sidebar off of that because that's how my brain works. Have you gotten to work a batch of lucha, or have you just kind of been able to wrestle the standard American style?
Um, I guess you can say I've had like a handful of like lucha shows that I had been at, for sure. But for the most part, it's so hard to learn a certain style whenever you have been learned that it's this specific thing. But then you just also have to learn other things, so and then you're able to be used for other parts of wrestling that you can do, and they can use you in that aspect.
That's fair. Up here, well, by up here, of course, I mean across the state the other way, but we have Galley Lucha Libre, and like they will occasionally bring in. Well, they bring a lot of talent. They used to from AAA, but now that the WWE's taken over, they've kind of slowed on that. But they bring in a lot of traditional lucha talent that way. And I've talked to some folks that worked up there, and they voice their disappointment because a lot of times they'll keep the luchadores and the local traditional American style wrestlers just kind of like separate on the shows. So like usually the gringos will work the gringos and the luchadores will work the luchadores. And some of them were like, no, man,
Mhm.
I grew up watching this. Like I want to tangle with the flippy little people too. And like
Right.
it's kind of like but but it's another tool in the belt if you can kind of get yourself working on that. I know like Chikara had famously taught lucha stylings, which was also to the detriment of their students at various points as well. But
Mhm.
I just kind of so like just I mean spitballing on that. Would it be something you'd be interested in like working more at just because you were in the general geographic location?
I feel like the more that you learn, the better that you'll get in the experiences that are given. So obviously, I would love to learn more and to have more of the experience of it for sure.
That's fair. Five tool players get five tool work, I guess. But kind of like switching over away from the lucha and just I don't know, like weird little headcanons things. But I kind of prefaced your introduction with some of the titles that you've won. Like what like as a performer, what did it feel like getting kind of your first title win?
It's funny you asked me that because I saw a video about it the other day. They had they recorded me giving like this like, how do you feel right now that you won this championship? I'm like, oh no. So I'm like, I'm watching this video. And you know, for the most part, I am a heel, whenever I wrestle. And when when I saw this video, I was like, oh no, this is nowhere near like how a heel should I'm over here like I'm crying. I'm thankful and I'm grateful that I got the opportunity to be able to showcase and that you gave me this chance to be able to represent um your company and to be able to be at this caliber of that. I felt like you chose me, because of the hard work that you've seen and the dedication that I put into my work. So it gives me the sense of like, thank you for letting me be able to be this representation that you are looking for. And yeah, the for me seeing the video was kind of cringy, but also at the same time it was um it was needed for me to see that, to be honest with you.
Let's be real. Nobody really likes going back into the archives and seeing the early stuff that they've done, regardless of the field you're in. Like, I mean, okay, not that I set the podcasting world on fire, but I've some of the early cons or some of the early some of the early interviews. Like, I'm like, oh no, why would you do this? Why would that thought even come to your head? Yeah, and that's just putting the pressure on myself. That's not someone saying like, here you go, you are the best, you are the best person in this division in our company. Go be the face of it, kid. Like that's just me being an idiot behind a microphone. Like, but
I
how
feel
does
like
it
you're
like?
doing a
Oh,
great
sorry.
job.
Well, it's because I've been doing this for way too long. Actually, by the sound of it, I've been technically podcasting longer than you've been wrestling, and that's I don't know that. I mean, at least that's not dating me too much. It's only like 6 years, but still, like, it's not one of those like I've been watching you for the last 20 years. Oh no, now that means I'm old. Well, that means I'm old too because I've been watching you for 20 years. But man, that's still digressing. Yeah. And you've won multiple championships. So how does this feeling kind of like carry over, like company to company or title reign to title reign? Is there a big difference in like how these decisions hit you, or is it, or dare I say, it just kind of becomes another Tuesday?
For me, they all have like their special moments, every title win is always going to be a special moment. Um, and in the same way, I still feel the same way as far as like, you know, I'm here as a representation, um, to make the wrestling promotion look good, to have the fans be invested. And I mean, in a sense, it also makes me look good as well. But I'm very humble when it comes to that kind of stuff. But in a general sense, just like how there was a wrestling show yesterday for Elite Breakout Wrestling, I wasn't scheduled to wrestle, but I am their EBW Women's World Champion. So I still ended up showing up at the show. I was there, and I'm there as a representation. You know what I mean? So um, in those in those sense, in that sense, I'm doing whatever I can to make sure that the promotion is seen, the championship is seen, obviously, and the dedication of it is there.
And I don't think that's something people really stop and think about, especially when we talk about the indies, is how the champion still is the focal point, and it's not like, and even though it's not WWE or AEW, who's, where you're getting sent out to do, the morning radio show or the morning news at wherever you guys are going to be the next day, like there's still an expectation of visibility for you. Except now you can have this spread out amongst, several promotions if you're becoming a belt collector in some way, shape, or form. So now you're, doing the work for X number of companies, whether the number is just one or be Mercedes, and have like what, 13 was what she topped out on. I don't numbers are not my strong suit.
Yeah.
And but but putting in the work, and then by proxy putting in that work, I mean, it shows up well on a resume too when it comes to the new year and you have to throw out that graphic of accepting bookings for next year. You can you can put that checklist down, one X titles, and then by proxy a lot of folks will put down, does promos or does XYZ, and in relationship to said championships as well.
Exactly.
Which always like blows my mind is like people, like it doesn't happen enough, so people have to put it on like does promos, and I'm like, I thought wrestling was also promos in addition to, throwing out bangers every week, month, or however long you get to be. But
Yeah.
I don't know, promos just seem to kind of be fall by the wayside anymore. But maybe that's the old
Yeah,
man in me talking
you'd be
too.
surprised.
um but but I, I I want to touch on, you talked about being a heel and winning the championships, and then by proxy now you've had to cut, they try to catch you in the moment. Like what, like how, have you, I don't know, how do I phrase this? How did you want to like switch things up? Because you said like it was hard to cut a heel promo, or cut a promo being a heel while being so overwhelmed with like the positive emotions for your first championship, like, compared to, what lessons did you take from that promo that to to your next championship wins, in terms of how you present yourself after the big win and still being the bad guy, or well, a bad girl or bad person, whatever pronouns we're going to use for the situation.
I think for my first ever championship win, I was just thinking about the 10-year-old Haley that always wanted to be a pro wrestler, and I'm just thinking about this little girl that had these big dreams. And I remember having my first step in the door, getting into training, and remember having my first match, and then remembering um having the opportunity to wrestle outside of Houston. And the progression just keeps getting bigger and bigger as it goes. Um, and then winning my first championship was in Laredo, and I'm just, the emotions just flowed through where I was just like, I thought about this little girl, and that's why I started crying. And then with this saying, like, this is my first championship. And then everyone was cheering for that. And I was doing my hardest not to break character. Right? It's like, oh man, it just happens. And And knowing like that was like my first time doing that, I got it out. I let it all out. I let all my emotions out. And then for like let's say like my second championship win, it was like I still had the feelings there. I was still having my jitters. I was still having like the emotion. But instead of it being where I felt like I was gonna be able to crumble down, I actually used it as a motivation to to be able to know like, yeah, this is meant for me. And I'm here, I'm present. This is what this is, you know, and I know there's gonna be more championships to come. You know, it's just I just have those you know, just still thinking about that 10-year-old kid that had these huge dreams and thinking like I've never thought I could be in this position, but I'm in this position. You know what I mean?
And been in this position, several times at this point in your relatively young career too. So I mean,
Hmm.
putting in the work is paying off. You mentioned with the first title win that, despite being the bad guy, people were kind of cheering you on. Like, how difficult is that? That your role is to make people hate you, but the crowd isn't necessary. I don't want to say not paying along, but like the crowd is kind of like breaking the character for you. Like, how does that affect you? Like, even when you're not winning titles, how does that kind of affect you in the work you're doing? Like, say mid match.
I think in a sense it was because with them cheering for me in that moment, it wasn't that I was the bombshell. It was that I was just Haley in that moment, you know, and whenever I do perform, I am the bombshell. I show up, I show out my character, I show um how much that these people should hate me. And they deliver. They deliver. I've had very close occasions where fans almost had to get physical with me because they hated me that much. I've had at this one wrestling show, um, I had a fan spat on me. That's how much he hated me. I
That's one of my
was
line drawing
livid.
things.
You have no idea. Ugh, like it's the most disgusting and disrespectful thing that you can do to someone. And I was just like, oh my gosh. You have no idea how upset I was. And I was still having to still try to be in character in the moment. Like if I didn't open my eyes, like in that one split second, I would have never known. I would have never known it happened.
Ah.
Oh, I was so upset.
Like that's like the one of the things I don't think about until it comes up. I'm just like, that's my job to get people like that upset. Like, not that people should be doing these things. People should be better because like we've pulled back the curtain decades ago, but like your job is to get people that upset. But on the other hand, like no one
Hmm.
wants to be spat on. No one wants to like have to dodge a punch or anything such as the like. But I'm just like sitting there thinking like spitting. Like that's. I would rather have you take a swing at me. Like, I've been less
For
angry.
sure.
I have taken headbutts to the face where I was less angry about taking the headbutt than I have or some of the folks that have
Hmm.
spat at me because I don't wrestle, but I've worked residential. So it's its own little batch of challenges. But like that's just
Hmm.
I don't know. It's the little things like that. And then sometimes I think about like the olden days. Like we're talking like the Texas connections, but I think like world class, like they didn't have barricades. I mean, most indies don't really have barricades either, but like world class had
Right.
some professional heat getters, and they like the entryway didn't have any sort of protection whatsoever, and then the barricade was just rope, like really saggy rope that wasn't like stopping anybody should they really want to do anything. And like back in those days, that just blows my mind that like that was security.
Mm,
but
for sure.
But then you read some of the books that also go involved with it, Bobby Heenan has well, Bobby Heenan's book is great, but it talks about the fan stuff, and you can listen to Jim Cornette's podcast talk about the olden days, especially because he worked Texas and Mid South, so he knew the fans
Hmm.
like down there. But I don't know, just that blows my mind. But like it's on the plus side, it seems that you've built a reputation, both, I don't want to say bad necessarily because it's all, in front of the screen, uh but you've gotten those reactions out of the people, and even if like they're going to cheer you on, at least for local girl makes good, just at least they're reacting, if nothing else. But I just like how do you but I just in my head going like, how do you respond to that? Like, I'm supposed to make you hate me, and then like people are just cheering me at the end of the day, cheering me at the end of my match. Like, that's like, oh no. I mean, but I also think of
Yeah, I'm sorry. Go
oh,
ahead.
sorry. I think of like I had Dew Montgomery join the show, and he talked about like he invited his parents to come to a show, and he's like, I'm the bad guy. Just don't, like, whatever happens, just don't worry about me. It's fine. Like, people are going to say the horrible things about me, whatever. And then like for whatever reason, the crowd flipped the script, and he was the good guy for the match. Like, and so like he like hyped up his parents, like, don't get mad at the crowd, and then the crowd's like, yeah, kill him, Doom. And he's like,
Hmm.
oh, whoops.
It's funny because I would have my little sister. She'll come to the shows that I would be on sometimes, and I would tell her, I'm like, it's okay. Like I'm supposed to be the bad person in the match. And it's like there's no issue with her. She just boos me anyway. She has no problem in doing that.
She was going to brew you no matter what. There's the joke.
Exactly. Yeah.
I know. I
Yeah. I'm over here trying to coach her. And she was like, it's natural for her to just be like, you suck.
Even if you just come out there and be like, "Come on, everybody, get on your feet," and she'd still just yell, "You suck." That's what my sister would do. She'd just I like, as a fan, like, I always kind of like feel weird, like how we have to turn it on, as a fan of someone who does the podcasting stuff. Like, I work a lot with the local guys, and it's like weird that like I try to and I do try to go along with their assigned roles, like with some notable exceptions. I will throw it out there before anyone gets in the comments and wants to tell me otherwise. But like, it's weird for me to like have to turn on that switch, like, even as a person, of being like, you suck, blah blah blah, and then like have to turn it off real quick, at like intermission or after the show, when then I go talk to him, because I've gotten close to a batch of the local guys. I'm like, nah, that was great tonight, man. I love the part where you did what did whatever. In the meanwhile, like, I hate you, Mark Storm. You're the worst manager I've ever seen. I don't even know why you're here. And then like, Mark, it was great tonight. So sorry, Mark, if you listen to this episode, but he knows. I even last week I told him, like, I don't know why you're here during his main event managing spot, but I digress. Like, I think that but like the fan stuff's like, I don't know, some of that parasocial stuff is kind of, it gets kind of weird. And then you bring the family and go
Hmm.
to boo or cheer you. Uh, but we'll loop back around to this, just because we're on the topic of fans anyway. Do you have like a type of do you have like specific fans, or like a venue of fans that like hold a soft spot for you? Like, I'll use like example, like, I like going to outdoor bar shows, because it doesn't bring in the typical wrestling crowd, and the crowd is always like weird and hot for the action. Like, is there a particular crowd that like is just your favorite to deal with in general? Like, whether it's, because they're raucous, or that you can kind of manipulate them at your will.
Um, for sure, every time when I go to the wrestling shop, they're actually their I guess you could say their venue. Their venue is actually like inside of a mall
Huh.
on the second floor. And it's a very interesting concept that the I guess you can say store venue, whatever you want to call it. Um, it's a very interesting crowd whenever I would go to the show. Um, I have my people that do like me. I have some people that absolutely hate me, and then you have your kids that are there. The kids are the most funniest fans. Like I remember my first match at the wrestling shop. I was not always your pink and black gear girl, but So I was wearing this silver and blue uh, ring attire that I had, and there was a kid that yelled out "blueberry," and the whole crowd just like kept calling me a blueberry. And I'm just like, what? Like they're the most like funniest fans is the kids for sure. They'll yell out anything, or like my hair is like spaghetti noodles or something, and they go with it.
Like that gives me like flashbacks. Like one of my first indie shows I went, and it was the children of all people that started. The children started a tummy tuck chant at a girl. I'm like even in like the ancient year of like 2008, like in my PC brain going like, where did you
Oh
one?
no.
Where did you kids learn this? Like that like, and
Right.
she wasn't a big girl by any stretch of the imagination. Like she like not that anyone needs a tummy tuck, but like she was definitely not a candidate for it. I guess, and it's the children, and then the adults get on it because the children chanted it enough. They're just
Mhm.
Tommy Tuck. I'm like, oh my god, oh no. And then we went to the
Or
after party and
even
saw her, and
right.
yeah, yelled. So my friend yelled Tommy Tuck at her, and then she hung out with us because we recognized her.
Or even the fans at Texas All Star. Whenever me and Alex Arsenal will go to Cyprus or in Humble or wherever that they have us, like even in San Antonio, um, the fans absolutely hate me. I don't think I actually ever heard someone cheer for me during during these shows. And the things they'll say, it's just it's wild, the things that they yell at these shows. Ugh, some of them I
Like
can't even say.
and I don't know. Why would you want to? I mean, I don't know the specifics, but I'm just thinking in my head, like the fans sometimes, like sometimes they get really creative and it's hilarious, and I don't know how you don't break character with
Mhm.
it. And then some of the other stuff, I'm most like, do you kiss your spouse with that mouth? Like,
Exactly.
but
Ugh.
uh, not that anyone like explicitly signs up for it, but I guess like again, I guess that if you're working heel like that, that's kind of indirectly what you're wanting, at least that kind of outpouring of emotion, even if it's not what we consider the most positive outlet for whatnot.
Right.
But you keep working heel, so like you're good at it. I guess.
And I remember at first I was thinking it probably was gonna be pretty hard for me to adjust to that because like, you know, I'm not one that likes to be the person to talk so much mess to a kid or to like a senior citizen or anything like that. I'm not that kind of person.
Oh,
But
the old
then
people are
this
the
is
worst.
like you have no idea how many like older men. Oh God, it's just insane. But I still do my job and I do it very well. I feel like if I haven't done my job very well, I wouldn't be coming back to the places that I have been getting my wrestling opportunities at. So here we are.
There
you
you
know,
go. You can't argue with success in whatever metric we're going to use, and that's the beauty question mark of professional wrestling, is that this metric takes all sorts of weird twists and turns that no normal person would dare think of. Yeah.
exactly. No matter
Uh,
what position you are in wrestling, because I've done mostly everything.
it is both beautiful and horrifying, but with that, I think we've pushed things for a bit. I'll give you an opportunity to kind of wind things down and kind of plug where you're at in social media and where can we find you online. Well, I guess that is the socials. Where can we find you online, or dare I say in person, where are you going to be in the next handful of weeks?
Okay, well, I know for some of the wrestling shows that I will be at, I have one. What is today? Sunday. I have one this Friday at Citrus All Pro Wrestling. Um, I have a certain show, the Texas All Star Wrestling, that's in Houston. Um, and I have quite a bit of different opportunities outside of Texas that I'm very, very excited for. I'm not allowed to say just yet, but at least I could say that. I'm very excited for those opportunities. And for my socials, I usually am on Facebook and Instagram a lot more than the other socials. For Facebook, you can just look up the Bombshell Haley Danielle. And for Instagram, it's going to be one Haley underscore Danielle.
And if I'm doing my due diligence as a host, I'll throw those links in the descriptor as well. But Haley, thank you for coming on the show and chatting it with me for a bit. It's been a blast.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
The Confusion Wrestling Podcast is a weekly podcast that is written and performed by Rob Kammer and hosted by Spotify for podcasters. The background music for this section is Ruined by Day, performed by Alan Schroeder. If you enjoyed this podcast and would like to help support, please like, subscribe, and tell your friends, family, and enemies. Leaving a review is helpful as well, because word-of-mouth advertisement is very important for us small podcasts. My social media links can be found in the description, but Twitter, Instagram, and Blue Sky are at The Nova of Cass. That's TheNovaofCass, and Facebook is MLW Confusion, all one word. If you'd like to support monetarily and help upgrade my equipment, please check out my virtual tip jar at ko-fi.com/Casanova, or if you prefer more bang for your buck, go to patreon.com/Casanova, that's CASSONOVA, where for as little as $2, backers get access to the podcast early and without those pesky ads, plus other exclusive content. So join the crew that is headed up by Keith Wynn, Alan Schroeder, Chris Zach, and Elenia, and check it out. You can also find t-shirts, coffee mugs, and other merch at the Confusion Podcast store on Teespring. Also, be sure to check out the affiliate links in the descriptor below. For business inquiries such as ads, sponsorships, and etc., please email rzkamer, Kamer, at comcast.net. Thank you all for listening.